Sports fans, we are live. Welcome to the Sports Behavior Podcast. I'm your host, OG the Beast. Here with me as always, Uncle Chilltown 32. Uncle, what's popping?
House, you know what it is, man. We back in effect. Let's do it.
We got a special guest on the show today. Goes by the name of Sports Fluent, a.k.a. Fluent and Chill. Go ahead and holler at him, Fluent. How you feeling today?
I'm feeling good, man. I'm feeling good. Thanks for having me on. I'm excited. We got some good topics.
Some beautiful topics. Great topics today. Pleasure to have you on as always, man. Y'all know how we rocking. Friday is usually Barbershop Friday. We usually kick back. The doors is open. But today we going to open it up for more than just one sport. It was just too much football. It was way too much football, way too much breaking news, way too much shit going on to not acknowledge it on the Sports Behavior Podcast. Y'all already know how we do. Shout out to the lawyers over there on YouTube. We missed last week. I was a little under the weather, couldn't go. Feeling a lot better actually. Feeling a lot better. So I figure, hey, let's get it back popping. I'm glad to see some of y'all in here chatting it up. Like I say, shout out to the loyals on YouTube, man. Those guys over there been telling me they've been watching reruns. Every time we don't pop on air, they pop on them reruns, man. I appreciate the love and support you guys give over there. If you're new to the channel, go ahead and drop a like. Hit that sub button if you enjoy watching what we do. Some loyals in here today. Ball Rat is in here. Dezo World, Reese. I see a couple of y'all in here, man. Fisted was popping.
Can I shout out? Because I see Fisted on our Gridiron podcast too.
Yeah.
What's up, Garp?
Yeah. That's a loyal right there, man. You see, he's showing love. Turnt said, "What up, Fluent?"
What up, Turnt?
OG's missed y'all, but yeah, it's been a crazy week. Speaking of the NFL, we had some breaking news. Deshaun Watson is now a member of the Cleveland Browns. Tell me why. As y'all know, everybody in here should know. I drive a truck for a living, right? So I'm in my truck. I'm strolling. My boy Cardell hit my line. He's from Cleveland. I answer the phone. What up? He's screaming. He's hollering. He's panting. He's gasping for air. I'm like, what the hell is wrong with you? We about to get Deshaun Watson. Mind you, me, him, and my other boy, Mike Beasley, we was arguing. We had a little group chat going on. We was arguing. I was calling the Browns a poverty franchise. I was saying they got no chance in hell to get Deshaun. I don't care. He say he want to play for a warm weather team, so it's looking like New Orleans. It's looking like Atlanta. New Orleans was in cap hell, but he say he want to play for warm weather. They was at the top of the list. Next thing you know, I get a notification while I'm on the phone with him confirming what he was saying. He said, look, Shefty reported it. I don't care what you talking about. Shefty said it's true, so I'm believing Shefty over you. I said, all rights. I've been following Shefty his entire career, so all rights. But this man is on the Cleveland Browns now, and it's like you felt like the Cleveland Browns had everything they needed prior to this, and they underachieved in my opinion. They kind of underachieved due to the fact that they got one of the best offensive lines in the league. Probably, no, scratch that. They got the best offensive line in the league, a solid defense, a solid quarterback, and people like to down-talk Baker Mayfield. Look, I've seen cats win Super Bowls with less at the quarterback position than the Cleveland Browns had last year, right? They had everything they needed, in my opinion, and they missed the playoffs. But now—
Don't say that. Hey, don't say that too loud, because my man right here, you start to talk about Baker Mayfield, I can tell you right now. Do not say that too loud about Baker Mayfield, because my man
He's the worst quarterback in the NFL.
Ah, come on. We're not going to do that.
He's the worst quarterback in the NFL.
We're not going to do that.
Hear me out, because you obviously never heard me say this before, so hear me out. When I say he's the worst quarterback in the NFL, this is what I mean. Of all the legit starters in the NFL, if you replace them, put them in Cleveland instead of Butter Mayfield, that team isn't any worse. Period. So that's why. So he's the worst quarterback in the NFL, because if you replace him, they don't get any worse. However,
hold on, I disagree with that.
You can put a lot of quarterbacks in there and he gets better. So give me a starting quarterback that would be worse in Cleveland. Exactly. The fact that you have to think about it tells me all I need to know.
I mean, when I think of quarterbacks, the great ones pop in my head, and I don't want to name one of them. I'm going to name a bad quarterback. Give me the guy in the Jets. Sam Darnold. If you put him on Cleveland, I think they worse. Baker Mayfield, what he did.
I don't think so.
I don't think Baker Mayfield.
Let me ask you this: Can Sam Darnold hand the ball off to Kareem Hunt and to Nick Chubb and trust that defense? Yes. Can he not throw the ball to Odell Beckham and make him look like he's washed,
I don't know.
Even though he's not? Yeah, Sam Bradford could do that.
But can he not to say that Baker Mayfield takes care of the football, but I'm not going to sit here and act like Baker Mayfield was complete trash. He did break the rookie record for most touchdowns thrown in a single season in his rookie campaign, even though it was broken.
4 years ago.
It was 4 years ago. But think about what the Browns were prior to that. I think you want to talk.
What was his record? What was his record?
They were garbage. They were
below 500 that year, and they missed the playoffs. But they made the playoffs the year after that, though, and he got a playoff win.
Mm-hmm.
That's the point. And when was the last time? When was the last time the Cleveland Browns had a playoff win? Under Baker Mayfield's helm, right? What about before that?
That's correct. They haven't. Since in fact, I believe it was 1999 was the last time they was.
So Vinny get one? Did Vinny get one?
So no,
no, he didn't get one.
No, that's what I mean when I say that. So what do you?
But is it because of Mayfield? But is it?
Yes.
No.
Yes. I'm not gonna say all because of Baker Mayfield, but I will say he contributed decent enough in a system like what they run.
You know that I have people in both the Browns camp and the Texans camp, and let me say this: Watson to the Browns is actually the best scenario. However, he didn't want to go to the Browns.
Nah,
that was not. It took convincing.
Yeah.
And what was the convincing it took? If you look at the Saints roster, if you look at the Falcons roster, because the Falcons were in discussion too. If you look at the Carolina, if you look at the Panthers roster. That's not set up to win. Right. That's set up for you to get some nice stats, maybe.
Why not the Eagles?
Get your head taken off. The Eagles are.
Hey, don't even start with that.
Even the Eagles. No, even the Eagles.
We're not doing the Eagles. We're not doing the Eagles.
Why not? Why he couldn't come to
because they weren't in the trade discussion. So when he initially actually said, I don't know if you guys saw this, he said no to the Browns.
Right.
But then they went back and said, hold on, like his people and everybody, like the guy that I know who talks to him in Houston, okay, said to him, that team has a defense. That team got some they just traded for Amari Cooper. They got Hunt. They got Chubb. They've got, like you said, one of, if not the best offensive line. You're not going to get killed. You have people around you. That was, now granted, I don't want to be in the AFC, and I know we're going to talk about that a little bit later, but it was still the best situation for him to have talent around him that, let's be honest, look what he did his last season in 2020 with the Texans. That wasn't a great roster. He went for 4,800 yards, 33 touchdowns with only 7 interceptions, 63 QBR. Do you want to know what Baker Mayfield did this last season? 3,000 yards, 17 touchdowns, 13 interceptions, a 35 QBR. This guy is light years. He's light years.
Oh, we're not debating.
Watson might be the best quarter. I won't say the best. I won't say the best. But
you can say
he last played, he was top 3 in the league.
That's an MVP.
He might be the best
MVP candidate that season if it wasn't for Houston being as sorry as they were. So when you add a when you add a Deshaun Watson, who in my opinion is a top 5 quarterback in this league right now, I don't care. Brady coming back and Watson coming back. That's another thing that I didn't even put on the docu that we should have been talking about. Brady is bike. Like that's crazy.
Of course he's back.
Tom Brady.
Of course he's back.
I didn't see it.
Did you look at the NFC?
Yeah.
I won't even say it. Jay, what'd I tell you?
Yes, you did. I thought he was done. We had this discussion. Too. I thought he was done. There was no reason for me to think that he was coming back. He basically left on top of his game. There was no reason for me to think that, and turns out he ended up coming back. But
no, not turns out. Not turns out.
You were right. Turns out you were right. Yes, you were. You were absolutely yeah.
Because I see the chat. I see the chat like, oh, I don't have Dub to pick on this week. I still know my stuff.
You were absolutely right. Now, with that all being said, I want to get back to this. Why not Philadelphia? You know why not Philadelphia? Because you got your quarterback. Get that.
I'm not mad at our quarterback. Look. I love my quarterback, but I'm gonna be honest with you. Literally, there's 32 teams in the NFL. 26 of them should have been in the running for Deshaun Watson. Facts. You got a 26-year-old quarterback that is top 5 in the league, and the last time we seen him, he was an MVP candidate. Why would you not drop whatever the hell you doing and try to see if you can get your hands on this kid? 26 out of the 32 teams should have been in the running.
Listen, I agree with you, because if you know me, I'm not hiding my helmet behind me.
Yeah.
If Houston wanted Justin Fields and a couple of firsts and a couple of thirds for Watson,
hand him over.
I'm fixing what I should have done in the first place, which was draft him.
And we got 3 first-round picks. I would have immediately gave him all 3. Like I would have been on my Mike Ditka shit.
Whatever you want.
Whatever you want, give it. I don't care. Not players-wise. I'll give you the whole draft.
Yeah.
Ricky Williams.
Whatever you want.
2.0.
Ricky Williams.
Whatever the hell you want.
Except it's a more, let's be honest, I'm not knocking running backs, but it is a more valuable position. It might actually make sense for a quarterback.
Right. Of this caliber.
Of this caliber, yeah.
To add to your point, Tone, when you talk about what the team looked like in Cleveland, now we do have a bit of an issue because who is he going to be throwing the football to? Because Landry is gone. ODB is gone, right? So who is he going to be throwing the football to? Now, you
got Murray Cooper.
Right.
They got an okay tight end, Kareem Hunt out of the backfield. They're going to draft.
They got Donovan Peoples-Jones. They got Higgins.
Rashard Higgins.
They got Rashard Higgins.
And with all of that that you guys just said, the one thing that pushed this thing over the top is he just signed an extension for $230 million. And guess how much of that is? Yes, how much of that is guaranteed? Every last dollar.
That's the most in NFL history.
We have a deal. I will be moving to Cleveland. That's the deal.
This is honestly.
How do you feel about this, though? How do you feel about this? He's going to get suspended.
You think so?
Yes, he is.
He's going to get. Of course, he's got 9 civil suits, even though there's no criminal, charges that are going to be laid. The 9 civil suits, the NFL will do. It might be shorter, it might be 3 games, but maybe that's good. It gives them time to get acclimated to Cleveland. I don't know, but just keep that in mind too. He will be suspended.
Yeah. Just so you know, and just so you guys know, so we clear. Zeke had to do 6 games, and his charges got dropped. So let's make sure we remember that.
That's a good point.
Zeke had to do 6 games.
That's why I was saying for sure he's going to get something.
That's almost half the season that Zeke had to do, and his charges got dropped. So
I wouldn't be surprised if they gave him 6 games too. Like that seems. What is it? Personal conduct policy, NFL personal conduct policy, or some shit like that you have to abide by. I wouldn't be surprised if they gave him anywhere from 4 to 6 games. Which Cleveland would be more than happy to deal with, and they got a serviceable backup in Case Keenum. They not worried about, sinking the ship. If they got to wait 6 games for Deshaun Watson and you got Case Keenum, there's no doubt in my mind with the way that they run that offense that Case Keenum couldn't at least pull 3 to 4 wins out of them 6 games with that offensive line. Somebody mentioned in the comments Rashard Higgins left. He went to the Panthers.
Yeah, to the Panthers. Yeah. Is that confirmed? Because
I'm not sure.
Gregory was supposed to stay with the Cowboys. Gregory was supposed to stay with the Cowboys, and who was the other one? J.D. McKiskey was supposed to sign with the Bills. So wait till it's official.
Exactly.
Who knows?
Exactly. The guy's been turning their back. I don't even know. Is this free agency? Is this like just the off season? Like what the hell is going on? There
is no off season. There is no off season football. I love it.
Golly. It's go. One speed go. But Deshaun Watson, the AFC in general is nothing short of heat. Like and like Fluent said, that's probably why Brady came back. I mean, to be honest with you, think about, and remember, Unc, we talked about this on a few shows back when we had right after Stafford won the Super Bowl, and one of the questions was, is he a Hall of Famer right now because of that ring with what he's done? Remember, we had that conversation.
Yes, we did.
One thing that I mentioned, I said he's not a Hall of Famer right now, but he has the potential to be that with him being 33 years old. And absolutely no competition at the quarterback position in the NFC. It was literally Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson. Now Russell Wilson is in the AFC. So Tom Brady comes back, and now literally it's 3 guys. So what's going to stop him from being an all-pro if he has a season similar to what he had last year? Not even the same success. Just put up those numbers. That should be enough to get you another Pro Bowl. That should be enough to get you another all-pro. And Kurt Warner only got 3, 4 all-pros. 6-time Pro Bowler. I think he can accomplish that. And if he would accomplish that, that would put him in a running to be in the Hall of Fame. But the NFC, we got me, you, and Chill playing quarterback in the NFC. Like, there's nobody over there that's a legitimate threat to Aaron Rodgers.
Tom Brady dodged such a bullet with Deshaun Watson deciding to go to the Browns. Because I know he looked at the Saints, the Falcons, and the Panthers and went, I could take this division. I could take this division easy. Because if Watson goes to the Saints or the Panthers, it's a whole different conversation. So
the Saints to me.
That's his. The South is his. Especially if Michael Thomas comes back. He's got the South to win. Matthew Stafford still has to deal with the Cardinals and Kyler Murray a little bit. But Rodgers has the North, and this might be the Eagles' year in the East because who won it last year? Dallas. Nobody ever wins it 2 years in a row.
It's never 2 years in a row. So it's either us.
Might be their turn. They just kind of rotate.
To be honest with you, Carson Wentz is back in the East. So,
like I said, there's no quarterback.
I think it's interesting.
Don't disrespect my man Carson, man. Go ahead.
I think it's interesting that you mentioned that the NFC would be wide open, considering the NFC West had 3 teams make the playoffs last year, right? And the NFC Championship consisted of 2 teams from the same division. And the Rams, with Matt Stafford, they had lost to the 49ers 6 straight times. Twice with Matt Stafford.
We just talking about quarterback play, though. Huh?
Yeah, and we are just talking about quarterback play. And Jimmy G wasn't terrible. No, he was not.
Don't do that.
Jimmy G wasn't terrible.
Jimmy G's safe. Jimmy G
wasn't terrible.
Jimmy G's safely garbage.
He's safe.
He's not
safe.
trash.
He's safely
He's
trash.
not
He's safe, and he wins 80% of his games. He's safe, but now it's Trey Lance, and I don't know what you're gonna get from Trey Lance.
Reese said Trey Lance season. That's my dog, North Dakota State. Real talk. Trey Lance don't turn the football over.
Well, we gonna find out.
Steve Young said he ain't ready.
We're gonna find out.
Steve Young said he ain't ready.
Too. And who else said he wasn't ready, nephew?
Who you talking about?
Who else said that?
You?
Yeah. Who else said he wasn't ready?
I think he's ready. Damn that. Hey, put him in.
You think he's ready now? You think he's ready now?
I think he's ready right now. Look.
What does he say? Does anyone know what he says?
He's going to say he's ready. This is the thing,
I want to know what he says.
When it comes to the quarterback position.
Everyone said Jamar Chase wasn't ready either.
I know.
He seemed pretty ready.
What'd I say,
Offensive Rookie of the Year before the
season there you go. Okay.
You had him as Offensive Rookie of the Year before the season started.
I'm telling you, when it comes to the quarterback position, you'll never be ready. Look at what's going on in Green Bay. People thought Jordan Love sitting behind Aaron Rodgers, giving him the Brett Favre treatment. He came out here and laid a severe egg. Listen, you know what type of talent you got when you see it in practice. You see, Andy Reid saw it with Patrick Mahomes. These guys know what they got in training camp and OTAs in practice, whether they starting or not. Trey Lance, the only way we going to know if he's ready or not is if you give him some game time action. That's it. But let's segue to some basketball, man. That's good stuff. Football been cracking. We got a lot more to talk about that. But when it comes to basketball, man, the points per game that guys are averaging over the course of the last 5 seasons, right, is some shit we've never seen throughout the history of the game outside of the 60s, early, mid-60s, as if the pace can match that. The pace back then was insane. It's nowhere near close to the pace that the game is at today. So it's like, what can you account for as the reason for why guys are scoring so many points? Is it the lack of defense, or is it just that guys are getting much better? Because we got Kyrie, who's got 3 50-plus point games this season, like 2 60-point games and a 50-point game, if I'm not mistaken. We had Joe Schmo won a blow yesterday, put up 50. Somebody put up 50 last night. Who was that?
Sadiq Bey from Detroit put up 51 yesterday. Mm-hmm.
Like, what's up with you? Cat put up 50. Like, didn't Kevin Durant just do something crazy too? Like, what is it? This is an honest to God question. Both of you guys, whoever wants to kick it off, you sound like you want to kick it off. What's the reason? What is the honest to God reason that you could attribute the scoring of today's game? Is it the lack of defense? Guys are just better than they were just 10 years ago. Or it can't be the possessions. What is causing this barrage of scoring that's been going on lately?
Well, let's rewind the clock back to the 1989-1990 season. Malone puts 60 on the Milwaukee Bucks. Fast forward the clock to the 2000 season. Shaq puts 61 on the Clippers. So getting 60 wasn't something that was ridiculous. Guys were doing it, only except when Malone did it. When Shaq did it, it was primarily on the box. It was primarily in transition. That's the way it was. But now we got guys doing it, and it's coming from a multitude of ways. You got guys You got Cat shooting the long ball. You got guys at that size that are shooting the mid-range. You got guys at that size that are not just shooting the mid-range, that are not just shooting the long ball, taking the ball to the basket, playing the in-between game, playing the mid-range game. Add all of that up to the fact that you can't really put hands on guys as much. So the game is a little looser than it was back then. So that makes this a lot more. I think it makes it a lot less difficult for guys to score. Now the skill set, when you look at a guy like Cat, I mean, how are you dealing with a guy that's 6'11", that can shoot the long ball, take the ball off the backboard, shoot the long ball, who can take you to the basket at any point, who's got a money mid-range game? Ever? You definitely can make that argument. You can definitely make that argument. Him. I was just getting ready to say that. I don't think that he's a better shooter than Dirk. And the reason why is because Dirk did it on the biggest stage when it mattered the most, and we haven't seen him do that yet. I think it's less difficult to do it in January and in February as opposed to doing it in Western Conference Championship. So I think that it does make sense to do it. It looks good now, but when the bets get higher, I'd like to see you do it then. But with that being said, when you got a guy like Cat that's grabbing the ball off the backboard and he's going with it, you got a guy like Embiid that's doing the same thing and giving it to you from a multitude of ways, and they've basically expanded the court. It makes it much more difficult to guard. Couple that with the fact that you can't really put hands on guys and the skill level has increased. I think those are the things that. So you think it's a culmination
of everything. So it's not one thing that sticks out to you that says, hey, this is the reason why these guys is putting up so many points in today's game. What you think?
Well, because we've seen it before. That's why.
Yeah.
I think. Look. You're right, and there is kind of one thing. So yes, everything you said is correct. Let me go back first because you said something about the 60s that bothers me. When people, the pace and the field goal attempts in the 60s. Granted, their field goal percentage wasn't as good, but they were only putting up about 5 to 8 more field goal attempts per game. So let's forget. Let's not make 5 to 8 is not a lot. It's 2 more shots a quarter as a team. That's not going to be the difference between someone scoring 30 and someone scoring 50. 2 extra field goals per team per quarter.
I could feel that. But
because they only score half. So just think about, let's say it's 8, which only happened once. Let's say it's 8 more than right now. That's 4 field goals. Don't forget, no 3-point line. That's 8 points spread amongst the team. That's not taking a guy from 30 to 50.
So why were guys putting up 140 points then?
Back then?
Yeah. I mean, we talking about on average. So that doesn't. I mean, we could use that as a base. On
average, it was about 118 points a game on average, and right now it's 110. So
110 points per game right now.
Right now,
yeah, I could see that.
Yes, sir.
I could definitely see that.
So it's not a big difference in the 60s. The way that it was done in the 60s, though, was very different because it was guys on the block. Everything was a 2-pointer. There was no people were getting 3-pointers the old-fashioned way, as we call it. However, to answer your question and to what Jay said about just 10 years ago. 10 years ago, and this is why I say it's everything, the culmination, the skill level, all that stuff is correct. Also, 10 years ago, they were shooting 18 threes a game. Now they're shooting 35. So you've doubled the amount of threes, and they're still shooting about 35%. It was 35% 10 years ago. It's 35% now, but on twice as many. So a guy like Cat is not a surprise that he can go for 50 or 60 because if he gets hot and goes 8 of 10, shit, that's 24 points right there.
They hit like 12 threes last night.
Right? Like you can get hot and hit 10 threes, and there's 30 of your 20. You go to line and hit 10. I think that's what Cat did, right? Then you go like 11 to 15, and there's your 50 points right there, not including anything he does inside.
So you blaming it on the long ball?
No, I'm not blaming it. I'm saying that's what gives them the opportunity to do it because you can get hot from deep and score a lot more points. Because if you look at averages, though, ain't nobody averaging over 30 points a game.
So then let me ask you this. What would you call, I don't want to use the word harder to do, but which game would you have more respect for? The guy that goes hot from 3, scores 50, or the guy that give it all to you, layups, dunks, penetration, grind buckets? Which one would you say is the more impressive game?
I think they're both impressive in their own way. For me, I'm a guy. For me, when I see Jordan scoring 30 in a game that only scores 90 points, is that more impressive than Wilt scoring 50 in a 140-point game? Yeah, maybe a little bit. Is it more impressive than Cat score? What did Kyrie do? Kyrie scored 50 and the Nets scored 60 on 145.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a little less impressive, but if you could get that, hey, I'm impressed by. Hey, if you could put up 20 in an NBA game, I'm impressed.
Here's the thing about KD. To combat
if I just
that.
one last point, if KD is one of the greatest scorers ever, according to some, he's never dropped 60.
He doesn't have
to put up. No. My point is though, if you could put up 60, I'm just to your question. I'm impressed by both. I don't care how you do it.
Right.
If you put up 60 in an NBA game, I'm impressed. Right. That's why I say Book put up 70.
Yeah.
You better be impressed by that.
No doubt about that. That's why I say,
and I think the last on how you
get it. That's important to me.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't value that.
With that also being said, too, it is more impressive to me when I see a guy like Irv. He's giving it to me in every facet. He's not just going to the basket. He's not just knocking down the mid-range. He's hitting pull-up threes in transition. He's efficient from the stripe, and it's on numbers that you can't really explain. The dude only took 31 shots. Not only did he only take 31 shots, the team, because like you just said, Tone, it's maybe not that impressive. Tone, nobody else on that Brooklyn squad took more than 9 shots.
I never said it wasn't impressive.
Nobody took more than 9 shots. Now, with that also being said. Now, with that also
to the team squad.
Now, with that also being said, Irv doing it in the way he was doing it. Not only that, with a guy his size, with his skill set, I'm thinking about guys from back when I was coming up, or in the 2000s, or Irv maybe goes 6'6". So we're looking at an Iverson who was more efficient, I can even say maybe more athletic. That's doing what he was doing. I don't think that Irv is better than Iverson. I don't think that, but he looked a lot more impressive than a lot of those other guys, small guys that I've seen.
Yeah.
When I saw that the other night, he looked a lot more impressive.
His question was more impressive. His question though was, what's more impressive, hitting a bunch of threes or doing it and grinding it out? Grinding it out is more impressive than hitting a bunch of threes. That's not what Kyrie did. Kyrie did everything.
So.
And let me just say, Kyrie did it on 75% shooting, I think. In the 75-year NBA history, only 2 guys have ever done that. Irv and Mike. Yeah. That's it. That's the list. That's impressive.
You have to be that one on TikTok.
Did you? Okay, yeah, that's impressive.
That's extremely impressive, and it's like you said, the array of moves, and I think that's what people get hung up on when they get to talking about this. Oh, who's the greatest scorer, or who's the best scorer, or top 5 scorers of all time? When it comes to these lists and everything that you want to implement into what you use to decide what the order of your list, everybody values certain things differently. Some people care how you score. I'm one of them. Some people don't give a damn how you do it because production matters over skill. I'm not one of those guys. I like a show.
All the time. Me and this dude, we do this all day long. Just so you know.
I like it. I'm back and forth
with this all the time with this.
Because he values production. I value skill. And I'm not going to diminish or depreciate somebody that produces more than another guy that may be more skilled. If the accolades match up, that's not what I'm going to do. But if I'm sitting here and I'm saying, hey, if I see like Kevin Durant, you said he's never put up 60. Kevin Durant doesn't need to put up 60 to solidify himself as arguably a top 5 scorer of all time, arguably the greatest scorer of all time. He doesn't need to do that because of the.
But it takes away from you in that argument.
I don't think so.
Because he doesn't when he's got his foot on your throat, he takes it off instead of stomping
because Kevin Durant is extremely unselfish.
I value that.
That's what I mean. That's what I mean. Yeah. So when you basing your list off of, it's basically what you value as an individual. Not we basically we have no criteria to go off of, or the criteria is.
Nope. Yes, we do.
Yeah,
yes,
or that's what I say. Yes, or the criteria is A, B, C, D, E. Now, whether you want to put E where B is at and B where D is at, that's up to you. And that's where the debate comes in. Because generally speaking, for an example, top 10 players of all time. To me, the top 3 should be consensus. If anybody has the top 3.
I think they are.
It should be consensus worldwide.
I believe it is.
We got other people who don't.
We got people
who think that Jabbar shouldn't be in that conversation.
Yes. We have people that have Kobe in there. We got those guys. Like I think the only one that should be debatable is Mike Jordan, 1 and 2. 3 should be consensus unless you got for some stupid reason Kareem at 2 or whatever.
Unless you're counting more than the NBA.
No,
because if you include high school and college,
it's
Kareem.
That's
and
the
it's not
stupidest shit I ever heard. I hate that the NBA does that. I hate that.
That's what I'm. But listen, the basketball is everything. So if you're looking at high school, college, and the pros, then it's Kareem, no question. Otherwise, if it's just NBA, then you're right. It's LeBron or Jordan, and then Kareem.
That should
100%.
be consensus. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But here's the thing that needs to be understood. You talking about a guy, right? Why is it different? What's going on today in terms of a guy being buckets that wasn't going on in the 90s? What's going on today that wasn't going on in the 80s? Well, one of the main things that was going on is the game is faster. And when I mean the game is faster, I mean the game is wide open. We're not dumping the ball into Jabbar. We're not dumping the ball into the Diesel and slowing the game down. We have the 8-second or less game. We have guys cracking threes in transition.
Yep.
We have guys not being able to put hands on other guys, so guys are going to the strike more. That's why you see a guy like James Harden, who before this season, when they started to implement guys having to play through contact, he was averaging 11 free throws a game.
Yep.
That's a huge part of my game, going to the stripe. So if I'm getting 11 free throws and I'm shooting 85%, that means 8 points of my average is coming from the stripe. I need that. That's a big part of my game. So when I think about guys scoring, the game has changed so much, right? The skill level, I think, has advanced. I don't think it's that much better, but I do think that it's better. And I think that it's just coming from so many different places now than it did back then. Like I told you, Malone and Shaq, they were doing that. You get 60 from these guys. It was just primarily coming on the box and in transition.
Not mad at that. Dub, appreciate the gifted sub. 4-month gifted sub. Shout out to Dub, man. But, yeah, like I say, when it comes to these rankings, man, it's all contingent on what you believe in. I honestly believe that because everybody has their own opinion on things. Everybody has the way that they value things differently than the next guy. I'm stuck in my ways. I can be convinced because I'm open-minded, but you're entitled to change your opinion when provided with new information. I believe that, so I'm not going to say I'm closed-minded on that, but, I'm just – I am who I am.
When it comes to Jordan. When it comes to Jordan. And I've made some compelling arguments.
And I've made some compelling arguments for my case. But the thing is, I never slammed the door. You know what, when I sat back and I watched that, I'm telling you, this 75th anniversary shit really, really took a toll on me when I saw how Jordan was received still in LeBron's era. When I saw kids in them stands that never watched him dribble a basketball cheering for him, he took the roof off the building in LeBron's era in Cleveland. Like, when I saw that, I'm like, man, LeBron may not ever be able to overcome this. He may not, his aura, he could probably put as many stats and maybe consider himself as the greatest basketball player. But when you're talking about greatest of all time, everything comes into consideration. You have to nitpick because everything matters. He may not ever be able to succumb to the aura of Michael Jordan.
We've had this conversation.
Part of that is LeBron's own fault. And I'm not going to talk about any stats, any skill, any of that, because I think that's been we could do that another time, but that's been done to death. We've all done it with each other even. Yeah. But here's the thing about LeBron that I think hurts it. It's that aura. Because what did he do? He said, I'm wearing the number 23 because of Mike.
Mm-hmm.
He did the powder because of Mike.
Mm-hmm.
He did Space Jam, number 2, because of Mike. In, I want to say November of the year before he leaves Cleveland the first time, he says no one should wear the number 20. I think he already knew he was going to Miami, by the way, in November. But anyways, that's a different conspiracy theory for another time. But he says in November, next year I'm changing to the number 6 because no one should wear the number 23. Well, he just helped that aura of the guy that now he's chasing, right? By saying, I'm doing all this stuff because of him. So it's kind of like, oh, well, he's the guy. Oh, and so it does. If you're borderline, especially if you're borderline, you're gonna tip a little bit that way because even he said that's
only
the guy
that
growing up. Now he changed it. He changed his mind later, but initially he did say all those things.
Not only that, though,
I think that the aura.
Jesus, look at the Jesus and sneakers comment. Arguably the best player in the world said about this kid at a young age. Ain't nobody speaking on Bron like that. You think somebody Speaking on Bron like that in today, who's speaking on? You got that look. You got that look on your face like you want to say something. Who's speaking on Jesus and sneakers? The man that told him that was arguably the best player in the world at the time. Who's speaking on Bron like that?
That was in year 2, no doubt about that. That was in year 2.
No, that would have been like Kobe. That would have been like Kobe,
right?
Saying LeBron is Black Jesus.
That's equivalent. That's a great comparison. That's equivalent. You can't. They don't look at LeBron the way that they look at Jordan. And I'm not gonna say optimism because I don't want it to happen, but the door's always been open for the possibility of LeBron James becoming the greatest basketball player ever. He would have to do a lot. Like I say, 40,000, 12,000, 5 rings. He got it. It's going to be hard for me to fight for Mike if LeBron is sitting here with 40,000 points, 12,000 assists, 12,000 rebounds, 5-time champion, 4-time MVP, 18, 19, 20-time all. It's going to be very hard for me to fight that, right? So the door's open for that. If he can accomplish that, he may be twisting my arm. But when I saw that shit and the way that he was received in his era, in his house, I said, oh, this is bigger than I thought. Like, I was not expecting that. Like, he may not ever be able to succumb that aura. You know it.
I've said this to you guys thousands of times, man. You got people who are Jordan people. You got people who are James people. And that's never going to change, no matter what James does.
It is. But the people that are on the fence, I think, get swayed to Jordan easier because of, one, the things I've mentioned already. 2, let's be honest. There is a percentage of people that Jordan didn't have to deal with this because he didn't have the same social media who don't like some of LeBron's politics. Yeah. And that shouldn't play a role, but it does.
It absolutely does.
And forever and always, people will use, when you look at guys this good, you don't go to their positives because you can make a case for both of them. Obviously, a very strong case for both. You look at the negatives. And 2011 is going to, it's like stone, like cement boots on LeBron that just kind of brings him down, even though he could probably swim with cement boots. I believe he's that strong, but it still brings him down a little bit. You
got to nitpick when it comes to the GOAT conversation, man. You have to nitpick. So, everything matters.
So that's why I say I think, Jay, you're right. There's Jordan, there's LeBron, and then those ones in the middle, I think that's what sways them.
That's who I was, Tone, that guy in the middle. Me and Chris had this conversation all the time. LeBron James is in year 9 in 2013. And he had just won the NBA championship in back-to-back seasons. This was league MVP 4 times in 5 years. I still wasn't ready to have that conversation, Tone. I was not ready.
But in 2013, with all due respect, in 2013, you shouldn't have that conversation because
I wasn't ready to do it.
He was 2-2 in the finals. He had one of the worst finals performances by a number 1 guy
just 3
ever.
years prior to that.
And prior to going to Miami, he had the number 1 seed in Cleveland twice and didn't make it to the final. So there was way too much negative. What he did after that, what he did after that.
LeBron's second half of his career.
His second half is incredible.
So it's like Mike did what he did in such a short span. So what LeBron is going to have to do to counteract that is, look, I got the longest prime of any player in NBA history. Because a lot of people look at longevity as a negative. LeBron is using it as a positive because he's shattering the mold on longevity and what it means to be that consistent this late.
But
his longevity isn't like Kareem's. It's not 10 points, 14 points.
Right.
But it could also be to a detriment too. And Tone, and you and I have had this conversation because now what people will see with that is they'll expect that from other people when in reality, Brady, James, Rodgers, Breeze, that's not the norm.
I think that's why
that is not the norm.
That's why you could use it
around here.
That's why you
We're
could
not gonna
use
have
it.
guys. I'm telling you, man.
But I'll say this
because it's not the norm. You could use it as a compelling argument for why he's the greatest of all time. Because if everybody was doing it, that's not an argument anymore. You know what I'm saying?
But I think it's also the longevity might be hurting him a little bit too in this sense, especially with the Lakers, right? It's kind of hurting me, but not making the playoffs, getting knocked out in the first round. And listen, I know this. I told you this team was horribly put together with a terrible coach, but 9th or 10th seed, right? Westbrook just, I think he threw. It just like they're about to lose to the Raptors again in overtime. Like it hurts his thing because before
somebody
it
came
was
in here talking about a shot Westbrook just had.
yes, yeah, that's why I looked it up when they said that. It's just like so he misses the playoffs the first 2 seasons and then never misses the playoffs again. He can hang his hat on that. Well, now he's missed the playoffs. He's got knocked out in the first round. Things that never happened to him before, and he's got a good team. Well, talent-wise, he should have had a good team this year. But anyways, different conversation. So I think those things kind of hurt him for those that want to find something wrong. Whereas the reason we hold, I think, Mike in such high regard, he went through his struggles that first 6-7 years, right? And then all he did was win and then left.
Yep.
So it's like
once he hit his peak,
it's hard.
He hit it.
Yeah, it's hard to. It's tough because if Jordan doesn't retire, right? You know, you and I have had this conversation, Jay. If he doesn't retire, then he goes and loses to Houston in the finals,
or
he stays in that. What if he stays? And what if he stays? What if he stays in 99, 98 and they lose to the Spurs in that shortened season?
We beat the Spurs. We lose to the Lakers.
I'm just saying, if all of those things, but then he's not perfect, right? Then he's not perfect.
Yeah.
Him retiring was the best thing for his legacy that first time.
For his legacy.
That was the best thing that happened to him for his legacy. That's
because here's the funny part. I think if James is 6-4 in the finals instead of 4-6, those numbers start to turn. Those numbers start to turn.
Yeah, we're having a way different conversation. No doubt about that.
Because there's still people today. There's still people today that say Kareem over LeBron because, well, the points, he still leads them in overall points, and he was 6-4, and he has 6 MVPs.
Him having a negative record
all more, right?
Impacts. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
I think that hurts.
Because Magic record is kind of nasty. Magic is like, what, 5-4 or some shit like that in the finals. So it's like, it's you got to go above 500, you know what I'm saying, before people get to running their mouth and talking about that. But I tell you a guy that should be in the GOAT or shouldn't be in the GOAT conversation that could potentially be in the GOAT conversation, that's Aaron Rodgers, right? Aaron Rodgers has been a walking disappointment since he won that championship when it comes to the postseason. Regular season, he's a guy, but that didn't matter. He signed a 4-year extension with the Green Bay Packers, and he is back in green and yellow once again. But this time without his counterpart, Devontae Adams. I don't remember the last time I seen Aaron Rodgers without a true number one. He's had a true number one his entire career, whether it was, I don't know if he played with Donald Driver. I don't think so. He had Greg Jennings. He had Jordy Nelson. He had Tay Adams. You know what I mean? Like, now the roster is looking like Allen Lazard. They got rid of Valdez Scantling. I don't even know who the hell they got.
They need to make a move, but like I said, Rodgers went for himself. And listen, I don't blame him, but he went for the money. The problem is when your quarterback goes for the money,
can't pay everybody else.
You can't win. I said this, I think, last week. If you have a top 5 paid quarterback, you're not winning a Super Bowl. Go back and check.
Can't remember the last time. Yeah, that's why I say I can't remember the last time. The highest, and he's the highest paid quarterback in the league right now.
No, he's the highest. Yeah,
you know what I'm saying.
I even gave it top 5, and people were like, "Oh, this person was 5th." Okay, cool. I don't think they're wrong. They were 6th and 8th. I think it was Drew Brees who was 6th. But top 5, you're not winning, and now they've lost. Now they've lost Devontae Adams, so he doesn't have a wide receiver. They've lost, I forget his name, but they've lost one of their offensive linemen. They're starting, I think it was their right tackle, maybe. They've lost Zadarius Smith, I think it is, from the defense.
Yep.
The only time he went to a Super Bowl and won, what was really great about the Green Bay Packers?
They had a top 10 defense.
Opportunistic defense. He doesn't have that again. So I think he put himself in a position where, hey, he got paid, but at what expense?
He put himself in a position to win a 5th MVP. I think Aaron Rodgers got 4 MVPs, don't he?
He won it back-to-back seasons too.
Hey, that's great. He's the regular season champ.
Regular season GOAT. Him and Peyton Manning.
I was just going to say that. That's the same logic with Peyton Manning. But when I look at this Green Bay team and I go back to what they were when they won the Super Bowl in January of 2011, I think that this team was just as talented as that team when they won it. Only except now they've lost some key parts. Now the plus side to that is the NFC North isn't exactly murderer's row. So I think that he'll have an opportunity to still make the playoffs.
Oh, he'll win the North. And I think. No doubt.
Yeah, he'll win the North. He's got Justin Fields and the Bears, Kirk Cousins and the Vikings, and whoever the Lions, I guess Goff and the Lions. So Yeah, there's no issues there. That's the easy
he'll run
part.
away with the North. He'll win 10 games minimum. And that'll be enough to win the North. That's never been an issue with me.
Right. So them winning the NFC North won't be an issue. So which means they'll get back into the playoffs. Now the question is him underperforming in the playoffs? We're talking about a guy who's 0-4 against the 49ers. I believe that he's since 2011, I think he's 0-4, 0-3 or 0-4 in the NFC Championship game, including. Including, and I said this to you many times, including that stinker when they lost in overtime to Seattle when Russell Wilson threw 3 interceptions, and there's no way that you're supposed to lose to them in Seattle with Russell Wilson throwing 3 interceptions in the NFC Championship game. I don't care about the Legion of Boom. I don't care about that.
The Cheeseheads will say, but that was the Legion of Boom.
I don't care about
that. I don't care about that. That dude gave the ball.
That's why Peyton Manning got to pay for that L he took in the Super Bowl, albeit against a top 5 defense of all time. That lets you know right there, football is different from any other sport. Defense wins championships. That was the number 1 ranked defense versus the number 1 ranked offense. No, damn that. That was the number 1 ranked defense versus arguably the greatest offense I've ever seen in my life. That 2013 Broncos team. When Peyton Manning threw 55, Demaryius Thomas, Eric Decker, that tight end they had, Julius Thomas, they had another coach. Everything about that team, Peyton Manning was rolling. That's better than the 07 Patriots to me. And they went up there and put up 9 points against the Legion of Boom. When I saw that, I said,
shut the door on them.
A few years later, I said, go back and look at it, think about it, that roster and how stacked it was, I said, it's probably a top 5 defense all time.
Well, take it a step further than that, Chris. Well, let's rewind the clock back to when they lost to the Saints in January of 2010. When they lost to them, because like you just mentioned, defense. That pick 6, that's the game. We don't need any more points. Game's over.
Yeah.
We don't need any more points. We don't have to worry about giving them the football back or getting in a position where we got to move up the field and they got to get a field goal or anything like that. Pick 6, game's over.
Yeah.
Game's over. We don't need any more points.
And that's why sometimes I sit back and question what franchises really value winning, or do some guys just value making money, filling up the seats, putting the asses in the seats? Do you value winning? And Aaron Rodgers, I heard a report say that Aaron Rodgers knew by taking this money that they wouldn't be able to re-sign Davante Adams to the money that he wanted. And he refused to take a pay cut still, even knowing that. So he knew Tay Adams was going to be gone before he even signed. I didn't know that until after I posted the video on TikTok wondering, wow, Rodgers just signed. Few days later, his man's is gone. It's like, damn, Packers, what are y'all doing? But come to find out, Rodgers already knew that by him taking all this money, they wouldn't be able to pay Tay. That's selfish as hell to me, in my opinion. That shows me you really don't have interest in winning. You satisfied with your 1 championship, because I would have did everything I had to do to keep my mans with me. But on a flip side,
no, I think he thought that Adams would play the year on the franchise tag.
That was the question I was going to ask you.
Adams let it be known that he was not doing it way before Rodgers even signed the contract. Adams let it be known, I'm not playing on no franchise tag. Do not think about franchise tagging me. If you can't pay me, trade me. He told him that.
Why is no one talking about this though? Because I don't know if you guys know this. The Packers actually offered Adams more than the Raiders. They were going to figure it out because they were way over the cap. But they actually offered him more, and he decided to play with his old college buddy, Derek Carr, over Aaron Rodgers. No one's talking about this, and I don't know why. I didn't know that. Because what does that say about Rodgers? That he chose to go to the Raiders over staying with the Packers, who offered him more money.
I tell you what, I'll tell you exactly what it means. If I'm not mistaken, my man right here, he got a man crush on a certain guy that's in Cincinnati.
Oh yeah,
it's not a coincidence. It's not a coincidence that the guy that he got a man crush on, the dude who's throwing him the football, they just so happen to be they went to the same school. Mm-hmm. So this may translate. All right. So he may be looking at that going, this might be able to work with us too.
I got no doubt. I got no doubt in my mind. Derek Carr, I got all the faith in the world that he's going to be able to get Davante Adams the ball in the spot. Everybody was questioning whether or not Tay Adams could still be the best receiver with Derek Carr to him. I have no doubt in my mind that he definitely can.
Don't forget, it's going to be in it's going to be in a Josh McDaniels offense.
Right.
And the one thing I know, I believe he was still with the Patriots in 2007 when I Tom Brady figured out a way to get Randy Moss, who was supposed to be washed. He figured out how to get him the ball a few times.
No doubt. A little bit more than a few, like 23 times. You know, but on the reverse side of it, we look at it from Aaron Rodgers' perspective. What about from the perspective of the Las Vegas Raiders? Now they get a guy in Devontae Adams who's a touchdown machine, who's a red zone machine, which is something they struggled with in the past, scoring in the red zone. Now they get a guy who can capitalize off of that. They need to improve their offensive line to create some holes for Josh Jacobs. You got Hunter Renfrow, who became an overnight success last season. You still got a top 3 tight end in the league in Darren Waller, and he's going to be open more now. The middle of that seam is going to be wide open for a guy like Darren Waller. So you got your Hunter Renfrow. Only thing you're really missing in this offense is a legit speed demon. So if you can go out here and find somebody that can legit play the slot and legit, you know, open some shit up for Darren Waller, and nobody can guard Tay Adams. And
that offense is going to be
offense is nasty.
Scary.
It's nasty with Derek Carr under the helm. I wouldn't be surprised if Derek Carr threw for nearly 5,000 yards this season. So fantasy owners, I would stay away from Josh Jacobs this year because it's about to be a show. Josh McDaniels going to be slinging it. It's going to be
unless you're in a non-PPR because he might get a lot of 1-yard dives.
Right, and that's if they don't sign a scat back to come out of that backfield. Yep. But I like the trade for both sides. You know, the Green Bay Packers. What did the Green Bay Packers get again, Unc?
The Green Bay Packers got 3 1s. They got 3 3s and a 5.
Yeah. Oh no! That's Cleveland. That's Cleveland. That's
Cleveland. Cleveland. No,
that's talking about Cleveland. No. Deshaun
Bay got that. What they get 2? They got 2 1s though, didn't they?
2 1s. They got 2. They got 2 1s and a 6, I think.
Yeah, it was something. That's decent. Like
they got 2 1s and a 6.
Low key, the Eagles could have gave that up.
The first round. Well, they gave up. I see. It's a first rounder, the number 22 overall, and a second rounder, number 53.
So they gave up one this year.
1 and a 2.
So a 1 and a 2.
The 1 and a 2 this year.
Okay. What about next year? They didn't give up nothing for next year.
Doesn't look like it, but you know who knows? That's still
not bad reports. Though. You give up a
1 and a 2
and a 2, a 1 and a 2 for Tay Adams. That's still not bad. I'm cool with that. You know, shit. To segue back and forth, I know we swap in sports, but it is what it is, man. I was having a conversation on TikTok about LeBron James and his recent success, the way he's been scoring the ball lately. But it doesn't seem to be translating into wins. They not getting dubs. LeBron come out here, drop 50, they win by 2. It's like, damn, like, you know, what the hell is going on? So I made a TikTok basically comparing this team to the 2007 Cavs team. And I'm asking, like, everybody likes to clown that Cavs team. They all say, oh, the Cavs team is ass. The Cavs team, oh, he dragged that Cavs team to the NBA Finals, which is one of the most overrated finals run, if you ask me, in my opinion. Not to hate on LeBron and nothing like that. I just to be honest with you. Because that Cleveland Cavaliers team, as you can see now, is better than a lot of people want to give credit to, right? So I'm asking both of you guys, what team is better? What's a better supporting cast? This year's Lakers or the 2007 Cavs? Go ahead, Fluent.
You want me to go for? So I'll say this. Talent-wise, this year's Lakers is clearly the more talented team. What's the better team? Well, it's the 5th-ranked defense who everybody played their role, understand who their star was, and did their jobs. That's the better team because, well, shit, they went to the finals.
Yeah,
so it's clearly the better team. Yeah. You could put – I always say this, you know, and Jay's probably sick of hearing it. There's no such thing as a super team because when they put the Lakers together, oh, it's a super team, Anthony Davis, Russell Westbrook. I said, no, it's a constellation. It's a bunch of stars. But if they don't play super, and I use the term, I don't know if I can cuss on this show, but I said if they don't play super, then they're shit.
Yeah.
Period. That's it because look at this team. They're not motivated. They don't play defense. They don't share the ball. They don't get easy buckets. They got a horrible coach. They got terrible flow. They got a bad system. They got no cohesion. There's no consistency. Like you said, Braun has to score 50 for them to win by 2.
Just
like they won it overtime tonight. He had 36.
Look, see,
Just think about it. He had to go for 36 against. Look, I'm not knocking the Raptors. I think the Raptors are. Yeah, they won in overtime. But like the Raptors just embarrassed them a couple of nights ago. They should have came out. They should have came out with a little more, fight. They should have blown out the Raptors tonight. The Raptors aren't that good. They're a good team. But like if they blow you out, you need to come back motivated and blow them out. You can't be going into overtime.
You can't be scratching and clawing. That's because they got Bricio. It's a walking bag of shit. I'm telling you. Oh, they ain't got Anthony Davis. No Anthony Davis. I don't give a damn about that. You got LeBron James playing the way that he's playing in his 19th season. You got a Carmelo Anthony. To be honest with you, I thought I had the answers to the Lakers' problems. I don't got the answers to the Lakers' problems. I don't know what the Lakers could do right now besides tear the whole roster down
I said it.
And rebuild it.
I said it. Trade AD, trade Westbrook, trade LeBron, fire Vogel. That's what you're doing.
Oh, because you're talking about.
Let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question.
Completely start over.
He's
right. That's what I said.
Tear the whole.
That's what I'm saying. Besides that. Yeah. I can't see. Oh yeah, I see it. Yeah.
If I told you before the season, the Lakers would be 11 games behind the Timberwolves, you would have told me I was crazy. 11 games behind the Timberwolves.
I didn't have them. I knew it wouldn't work, but I didn't have them missing the playoffs. I just didn't have them winning it.
Me neither.
These jokers might miss the playoffs. It's sad. It's sad.
No, in just FYI, in my book, if you finish 9th or 10th, you miss the playoffs. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care if you win the play-ins and win every round and win the championship. You didn't belong in the playoffs.
You sound like them guys when the 3-point line first came into the league. If you shooting threes, you soft. I don't care about that line back there. You shooting threes, you soft.
No, yeah. I like the three because I had a nice career because of the three. So if it wasn't for the three, I would
warm up. You got a chance to warm up to the three. They didn't like that shit when they first came into the league. The three was a trick
if there was no 3-point line, no one ever would have paid me to play ball.
Hey.
Now you gotta,
it works for some.
When you talk about when you talk about that 07 team, when you talk about this Laker team, we talking about completely different expectations. Nobody had the Lakers not making the playoffs. There were championship aspirations for this team when they added Westbrook, when they added Anthony, when Anthony Davis was coming back healthy, James is coming back ready to go. Particularly after what had happened last season with that unit and how they lost in the first round with James missing 2 months, with Anthony Davis not being healthy. There were championship aspirations for this team, and for this team to bomb the way that they have without the cohesion, for me to talk about the Lakers, it's very much like it's a broken record. That's what it sounds like with me, with a broken record.
That's why I say I'm so tired of talking about them.
Yeah. Now when I look at that Cavs team, there was no expectation for them to go to the NBA championship. They had made the playoffs the year before, and they were in the semifinals. But the steps to make it to the next level, it still felt like that they weren't that close. So when they got to the NBA finals, it was a surprise to everybody because when I look at that unit, I mean, let me make sure that I remember this correctly. I got Eric Snow at the 1. I got Larry Hughes at the 2. I got James at the 3. I got Danielle Marshall at the 4. And I got Big Z at the 5. Not 100% confident that if you rewind the clock, we got this team in the NBA Finals with a 22-year-old kid who just got out of high school 4 years ago. I'm having a difficult time believing.
He was a dog. Bro was averaging like 27, 6, and 6. He was averaging like 27, 6, and 6. They won 50 games. They was a top 5 defensive team, a well-oiled machine. They played well together. They had a system built around LeBron James, right, to where they can spread the flow out. Danielle Marshall could shoot it. Everybody could shoot it except Z. They could spread.
Can we stop? I'm sorry to interrupt you. I'm sorry, but can we stop with the whole he was only 22? Can we stop that? Because I'm so sick and tired. He was in his 4th year in the league. He was good enough to be in the NBA for 4 years as a starter, playing the way he played at 22 years old. Do you ever say, oh, the Spurs didn't really, did they really beat the Spurs? Because the best player, Kawhi, was only 22, and he was the finals MVP. Do you ever not? OKC. KD
That's not the same thing, Tone. That's not the same thing.
No, but they're 22. Don't use their age. I don't like using.
When did Timmy get drafted? Didn't he win a chip in 2000 or 99?
No, in 99, right? He did in 99. But that team was laced with vets. That's number 1. Number 2, that was a much better team. Number 3, when I look at that Cavs team, don't forget 4 years ago they had won 15 games. We go from 15 games to being in the NBA Finals. Don't get me wrong now. James was absolutely awesome. He averaged 31 a game the year before.
Shaq did that.
and took them to the semifinals. I can't fight that.
What was Orlando before Shaq got there? And 3 years later, they was in the NBA Finals.
I don't like the whole. He was only 22. He was a great player. I don't care if he's 22,
yes, he was.
32,
yeah,
50.
Yes, he was. 27, 6, and 6, and he took that team to 50 wins. It's overrated because of what happened when they got to the playoffs in the first round.
The problem I'm having is...
Yeah. I just say he beat two 500 teams.
When does that happen?
Right?
When was the last time that shit happened? And in the first and the second round, you get...
Who was the first round? Yeah, Washington, 41-41. The Nets, who were 41-41.
Yes.
The Pistons, only had 3 more wins. They were a 53-win team. I get people will look at the names and the talent.
No Ben Wallace in that last round.
Only
the
3
first
more
round,
wins.
they had no Gilbert Arenas. He was hurt. They had Antoine Jameson was the best player on Washington. That's who LeBron played.
All-star. He was an all-star.
Man.
So stop acting.
Antoine Jameson.
I still have this the 07 casting as I want to say 4th or 5th the worst team to make it to the finals. So don't get me wrong. Don't think I'm thinking these guys are better than they are.
I'm just asking, are they better than the Lakers right now?
I think
they're a better team than the Lakers. They are a better team than the Lakers.
Yes,
yeah, 100%.
Yes, they are. And primarily because of the expectation.
Don't look at the names.
Don't look at the names.
Yeah. Don't look at the names.
You can look at you can look at the names, but when in the process of looking at the names, let's look at the experience.
Eric Snow better than Russell Westbrook?
Right now? Eric Snow in 07 is better than Russell Westbrook today. Yes, he is. No doubt about it. He is playing better than Russell Westbrook.
If you look at I don't want to say their top 3, but if you say, James, Hughes, Gooden, I think were their top 3 scorers. If you compare them to James, Westbrook, AD, people today are going to say, wow, the Lakers, but they're not playing.
The second leading scorer on that team was Hughes. He was averaging basically what Carmelo's averaging right now.
14, I think.
Like 14 a game. Absolutely. He was only averaging 14
a game. Carmelo's the 4th
that was
scorer
a different
on that
time.
team.
That was a different time. That was a defensive team.
And it's a difference between being a better player and playing better.
Right.
Eric Snow was better for what the Cavs were doing as opposed to what Russ is doing with the Lakers. It's a completely different thing. Completely different.
He was a better fit for his team than what Russ is for his team.
Yeah,
I just think Russ's play isn't conducive to winning no matter how many triple-doubles he puts up and the stat they want to bring up. Well, when he puts up a triple-double, they win this amount of games, this percentage. I don't care nothing about that. I just think his gameplay is just strictly individual gameplay, and it's not conducive to winning. You can't put him in a situation where his job is to help win games on a star-studded roster or a roster with another superior athlete and expect him to pull through with that. I don't believe that. I'm not real. I'm not.
I think we've said this about Russ before. I know that Jay and I've had this discussion before where it's like, I'm going to do a baseball analogy. He's like this incredible fastball pitcher who drops like 102-mile-an-hour fastball on you all the time.
Right.
But if he just keeps throwing it for 9 innings, eventually you're going to get the timing down and you're knocking out the park.
Exactly.
He needs a changeup, and Russ just doesn't have a changeup. He's to
speed.
His credit, my man can run 100% a whole 48 minutes. But he needs to slow it down. Just
here's the thing, though, Tone. He actually does have a changeup. He got a curveball. He's got a slider. He won't use it.
Well,
that's the difference. Yeah. He's gonna keep throwing smoke. You know why? Because I can throw smoke, and I don't need to use my slider.
In the crowd.
Meanwhile, this
y'all ever see the movie
over the gate 6 times already?
Yes. You ever see the movie Bull Durham? You ever see the movie Bull Durham?
Yes. I have.
He wants to announce his presence with authority. And I'm like, Lelouch, throw the curve, Lelouch. Don't throw the fastball.
Russell Westbrook is Gabricio. He's Gabricio. He's definitely Gabricio. Enough about basketball. Look, I want to hear y'all before we get the hell out of here. I want to hear y'all top 10 quarterbacks of all time. Just for shits and giggles, just to see what's going on. Fluent said he has something interesting to discuss when it came to this. And I'm interested to see where the hell you lie with this. I want to know, we're going to kick it straight off with you. Shit, I want to know your top 10 quarterbacks of all time. Give it to me from 10.
You want me to go? No, I'll go 1 to 10. I'll go 1 to 10 because let me go 1 to 10 because 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3 is pretty standard.
Yeah.
Right? I got Brady, Montana, Manning. Here's where it takes a little curve for most people. Then I got Marino, Warren Moon, Unitas, Elway, Otto Graham, Steve Young, and here's the number 10 guy that just slid in because I told you coach gave me this Terry Bradshaw.
Why is that? Wait a minute. Why is that ridiculous? Hey, hold on for a second.
And that's new. I did not have him. I did not have him.
Chris, reconsider. Resubmit.
Why is Terry Bradshaw being a top 10 quarterback ridiculous?
Oh my God.
He led a team.
Oh, no, I'm not going to let you open your mouth and say that, Fluent.
You're not going to let me finish?
Hell. Now, when you started like that, you better start that sentence off right. Led a team? Hell no. That is the Steel Curtain Squad. Terry Bradshaw didn't lead nothing. That man won a Super Bowl MVP throwing more picks than touchdowns. I'm not trying to hear nothing about leading. That man, how many times in his career?
Right?
Huh?
How many times? Go ahead. How many times in his career? Go ahead.
You go ahead.
Go ahead.
I want to hear your logic behind this.
4 Super Bowls in 6 years. Twice back-to-back. No radio in his helmet. Calling his own plays. No rules to protect.
I could tell he was calling his own plays.
No. But and to the comment section, it was Drew Brees for me. That's who I had at 10 was Drew Brees, and now Drew Brees is 11, and Terry Bradshaw. Listen, I can't make the case as eloquently as Coach did. I'm not going to try to, but I was convinced.
What coach is
NFL
this?
Head coach, Coach Hugh Jackson.
Hugh Jackson?
I was convinced. I was convinced by Coach. He made a compelling argument. I'm putting in my top 10.
No.
Unless someone gives me a better argument than his, he stays in the top 10, and Drew Brees is now number 11.
Oh, my God. He's one of the most overrated quarterbacks of all time.
The most overrated quarterback would be Joe Namath. Is actually the most overrated.
I said one of. He's part. He's definitely in that list. He's one of. Now I seen that you had Johnny U in there. I'm not mad at the fact that you got Johnny U in there. I'm not mad at it, but
Johnny U averaged more passing yards. I think he still holds the record.
I think Johnny U
for most passing yards per completion to this day.
I think Johnny U actually has like 40-something thousand passing yards, which is pretty impressive for that era. That's
the equivalent like 100,000 in today's era.
Considering Joe Montana has like 40-something thousand.
He's got to be in your top 10. He's got to be in your top 10.
He's not in mine.
And then Otto Graham, just a winner. That's because like I say, as I get older, Super Bowl
see, Chris, I'm not listening to that right there.
That's Bill.
I don't like that.
Bill Russell. Listen, this is why Otto Graham is not. He played.
Here we go.
Otto Graham played before the merger. I'm not counting somebody that played in the ABA in my top 10, dog. I'm not. He played before the merger, 1967 and up. Why would I count somebody that played?
So if Dr. J had the stats, you wouldn't put him in your top 10?
What are you talking about?
He's in your top 20. Dr. J's in your top 20, isn't he? And his best years were in the ABA.
True.
Ooh,
that's true. I never looked at the back. To be honest with you, I never looked at the back end.
Because hold on, if you're taking out an era just because it was so long ago, are you then expecting that Tom Brady in 50 years is no longer in the top 10 because it was 50 years ago?
If the NBA merges with another league and 60 years later somebody surpasses what Tom?
No.
Listen, the league was completely lopsided when Otto Graham played. That's why he won 9 championships. I'm not disregarding what he did as an individual player. Otto Graham is one of the few guys from that era that actually gets my respect, because I'm not saying he doesn't deserve to be in the top 10. He's not in mine for my reasons specifically. Otto Graham did more than just play the quarterback position. He was a corner. He was a safety. He was a wide receiver. He was a punter.
10 NFL championship games. Oh, and before that, he won a pro basketball championship.
That's what I'm saying. Otto Graham, that's what I'm saying. He's the only guy in NFL history, I believe, to have thrown an interception, caught an interception, and what is it? Thrown an interception, caught an interception, caught a touchdown, or thrown a touchdown. He's the only guy in NFL history to do that, Otto Graham. So when you talk about football players, he epitomizes what it means to be a football player. He's one of the most versatile players of all time. But with that being said, I get it, but he's not in mine simply because I take into consideration the era he played in. I take into consideration what was going on, and it was.
So when you take into consideration the eras, do you knock quarterbacks in today's era because there's so many rules in terms of pass interference, protecting the quarterback. They throw the ball way more than they ever did. Do you knock them for that?
No, because it's the future. And that's what the league has transitioned to.
Then you don't take errors into account. You only take errors you didn't see into account and knock them for it.
Okay, but also that's not the case when it comes to how the game is being played today. It's evolutionized. We're looking at an older format and saying, wow, if that format you're talking about was better suited for today's game, or we could say, man, the way that they played the game back then is better than the way that they play the game now, then you would have a compelling argument. Like, you could legitimately say that for the 90s or the 2000s. I think the game that was being played in the 90s and the 2000s in an NFL was better than the game that's being played today, in my opinion. You could hit. I'm not talking – look, okay. When Ty Law did Marvin Harrison the way he did him in the AFC Championship game, and the NFL came out with illegal hands down the field, a.k.a. the Ty Law rule, that's when the whole game changed defensively. Now you can no longer touch guys down the field, and they called it more regularly after that season. Prior to that, you could – that's why Jerry Rice is undoubtedly, undisputedly the GOAT, because you could make a legitimate case that Jerry Rice played in an era where doing what he did was tougher. This man said some of the craziest shit I ever heard. Jerry Rice, they asked Jerry Rice, what would his career numbers be like if he played all of it in today's era? He said, everything I did, double it. And I sat there and I said, and I sat there and I said,
42,000 yards. Get the hell out.
But the thing is, I said, that's crazy to even think about. But is it really?
Yeah, it is.
It is. Statistically, it's impossible to do. But I'm thinking to myself, like, he's right, though. Because I did it in an era where you could press guys 20 yards down the field. Pass interference was a thing. Illegal hands down the field was not a thing. It was way harder to catch passes in his era. And he racked up.
Hold on. Jerry Rice did not use Stickum. I'm sorry. I got to correct the chat. Stickum was outlawed in the 70s. The Raiders were the last guys to use. Stop. Sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, Bolitnikov
Stickum.
is the Stickum guy. Fred Bolitnikov. So, I don't know, man. It's just Jerry Rice. Jerry Rice is one of those guys to me, not to get off topic, but real quick, Jerry Rice is one of those guys to me that it's undisputed. It should be consensus. There's no argument for his place in where he's at.
But I want to, because the chat's talking, A-Rod, Terry Bradshaw, whatever. We're not talking about talent. Listen, the quarterbacks today are all of them are more talented. They're more skilled. They're more athletic. That doesn't make them better, right? And I always use this example. Jamarcus Russell is more talented, is more skilled, is more athletic than Tom Brady. But who's the best quarterback of all time? It's not the guy who's more athletic, more skilled, and more talented. It's not. So you have to give bonus, right? You can't just look at skill in your eye test because that doesn't tell you the whole story. So that's why, like I said, I didn't have Bradshaw at 10. I had Breeze at 10. But it was a compelling – you were on that episode. I don't know if you remember it. But he made a compelling argument for Bradshaw. And I was like, all right, I'm a bump him up.
I got to address something real quick with Bald Red. Rice probably isn't cooking Ramsay. I just want you to know, is Ramsay better than Deion Sanders? That's a yes or no question. It doesn't involve an elaborate answer. Is he better than Deion? Because I want you to know that Deion got on the 49ers in 1994. And the consensus was Jerry was roasting him in practice. Jerry wasn't doing good things with him. He was roasting Deion in practice. So I'm 100% confident that he would handle Jalen Ramsey.
Yeah,
that's the end of that. I'm 100% confident.
I don't believe there's a debate who the greatest corner of all time is.
And Jerry
the fact that Jerry did what he did. Stop.
He was torching him in practice.
And here's a great example because people bring up the speed. They're like, oh, wide receivers are faster. Perfect example. Jerry Rice ran a 4.6. John Ross ran a 4.2. Who are you taking?
There you go.
You ain't even got to go that far back. Shit. Cooper Kupp ran a 4.6.
That doesn't matter. That doesn't matter as much as people think. Listen, I'll give you. They're more talented. They're more skilled. They're more athletic.
I love me some Tay too. I love me some Tay. You know that conversation we had. But give me your top 10. Unc. What's your top 10? I think I heard it before.
I got Brady, Montana, Manning, Breeze, Rodgers, Elway, Favre, Roethlisberger, Marino, Steve Young.
That's pretty close to mine. Except I don't have Steve Young in mind. I probably should, but I don't. I got Brady at 1. I got Joe Cool at 2. I got Manning at 3. Rodgers at 4. I have Drew Brees at 5. The disrespect for Drew Brees on this panel is crazy. I have Drew Brees at 5, a guy who's never had any talent offensively, never had a consistent weapon like these other guys that I've named. All can say they had a consistent weapon for 10-plus years. Outside of Brady, he had Gronk for 9 or 10. So everybody else can say they had a consistent weapon for at least 10 years, except Drew Brees. 6, I got Dan Marino. 7, I got Favre. 8, I got Warren Moon. 9, I got John Elway. And 10, I have Big Ben Roethlisberger. So
I can get with that. Mm-hmm. I can get with that logic. Sure, absolutely.
So no one. I think Montana, and you said Marino and Moon. Okay, so you have a couple of. So no one pre-1980.
Pre-1980.
Nothing.
I don't have Otto Graham. I don't have Johnny U. I don't have any of those guys.
Nah, I'm not.
And that's not. And I love Johnny U. I don't like Johnny U. I love Johnny U. But
Johnny U was ahead of his time. I agree with that.
Yeah,
he was ahead of his time.
I can't put any of these guys. I can't put any of these guys.
Johnny U was putting up today's numbers.
True.
Then imagine what he would have done now.
Yeah.
So how can you? So that's I don't understand how you couldn't have him in.
Yeah, that's fair. You can absolutely make that argument. But
you got him in there at the expense of Drew Brees. I'm not doing that. You have to play. This is why, Fluent, because you got to play the imagine game. Drew Brees isn't the imagine game. He's got 70,000 yards. He's second all time in touchdowns. He's second all time in yards, and he's first all time in completions, or second all time in completions. First all time in completion percentage. This is reality. You have to play a what-if game.
I told you I had him at 10.
Well, you got him out.
He's 11.
He's
11.
You got Ben Roethlisberger,
John Elway.
Peyton Manning.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of Roethlisberger.
Ben Roethlisberger, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning. Let's see, who else? Phillip Rivers. Not Phillip. Yeah, Phillip. You don't have Phillip Rivers, but Phillip Rivers and Peyton and his brother Eli Manning. Those 5 guys combined have 5,000-yard seasons. These how many they have combined. Drew Brees himself got 5,000-yard seasons. 5 of them himself, without a consistent number 1 guy.
Cool.
So you know who Drew Brees' consistent number 1 was?
How many Super Bowls did that get him?
1. I mean, that's a team sport.
Wait, whoa. If we doing that, Tone, if we doing that, then we got to completely switch it up. Because let's make sure we're clear. Let's make sure we're clear. Because Peyton Manning, in the 13 years he played in Indianapolis, 6 of them 13 years, he had a top 10 defense. He got 8 one-and-dones. Don't do that, Tone. No, don't do that. I'm not listening to that.
No, we can't do that.
You were disrespecting Westbrook for his individual stats and not being able to win, and then you're applauding someone for individual stats and not being able to win.
I mean, individual.
Win, though.
No, that's different from basketball and football because one man can dominate on both sides of the floor in the NBA. You can't dominate. Drew Brees can't play corner and go get a pick 6. He can't do that. He has to rely solely on his teammates.
And you don't want to give him any love.
Hey, on that note right there, it's time to shake the spot, folks. Rain your questions in. What y'all got? What y'all got for us?
That was a good one.
That might be a mic drop right there. You might get a mic drop off that.
I'm telling you, that was a good one. Questions from the fans. Rate them in, ladies and gentlemen. Rate them in. Questions from the fans. Let's close the show out. Incredible show. Whatever y'all got, man, ask about it. We don't give a damn what it is. You know, if you want to know something, Fluent, where do you have Aaron Rodgers?
13.
Vicky or Vicey said.
I'll say like 12, 13, just right after Brees.
Mm-hmm.
OG, the weapons Drew Brees. OG, tell me the weapons Drew Brees had. I want to know. Drew Brees' best weapons was probably Marcus Colston, who's got over 10,000 yards as a Saint. So right at around 10,000 yards as a Saint. So that's Drew Brees' positively. That's his number 1. That's probably the best weapon he's ever had. Then Jimmy Graham. Now he's had the most success with Jimmy Graham, but I think as far as from a statistical standpoint, is Marcus Colston, and that's not saying much at all. All.
It wasn't for a long time, but he had Michael Thomas.
He had him
4 years. Colson, Brandon Cooks.
At the ass end of his career, he wasn't really.
What about Joe Horn? He had Joe Horn too? Did he not?
No, he didn't.
Brees didn't have
Joe Horn. Have Joe Horn?
No,
he did not. He did not have Joe Horn. Nope, didn't have him. So Joe Horn came when Brees got there. Joe Horn was gone for like 3 or 4 years.
Joe Horn was Aaron Brooks.
Yeah.
I remember. Okay.
Yep. The most overrated running back? Who is the most overrated running back? Yo, I had somebody tell me that Barry Sanders is overrated.
The most overrated running back is Bo Jackson.
There's no way you selling me that. No way you telling me that Bo Jackson is overrated.
People talk as if Bo Jackson had a long, illustrious career and he should be mentioned amongst the all-time greats. He should not.
No, we ain't doing that.
When I hear people say, "Oh, you don't have Bo Jackson in your top 5," you crazy. That's when he becomes overrated.
No, the most overrated is Emmitt Smith.
You crazy as hell. I don't understand.
Think about it. Hold on. Is Emmitt Smith a top 5 running back?
Yes.
Yes, Tone.
No, he's 5 for me.
He's not. How you the all-time leading rusher and you not a top 5? If you're not a top 5 running back, people say he's nobody has ran for 4 yards in the history of
remember the definition of overrated, which is ranking him too high. Yeah. So people see that he's the number 1 rusher all time, and they make him 1 or 2. He is not. So he is overrated.
So
I'm not doing that.
I haven't heard.
If he's 5'6", which I think is fair,
I got him at 5.
You call him 1-2, that's overrated.
I got him at 5 at the expense of Adrian Peterson. My top 5 running backs of all time, I think Barry Sanders is 1. You could make a legit. Who's to say?
Walter Payton is 1. Walter Payton's the greatest running back of all time.
I have Barry Sanders.
And let me tell you why. I'm going to tell you why Walter Payton. 1, because none of them can say what I'm about to say about Walter Payton. 1, when you talk about the greatest runner of all time, is Walter Payton in the conversation?
Hell yeah.
Okay. When you talk about the best receiving backs of all time, is Walter Payton in the conversation? Yes. When you talk about the best blocking backs of all time, is Walter Payton in the conversation? Yep. Yes. No other running back can say that. They might have 1 or 2 of those things. No one has all 3. Well, that's why he's the greatest.
And add that to the fact that he was really good in the playoffs. Barry Sanders' production dropped in the playoffs.
Barry Sanders was terrible in the playoffs.
Don't forget that.
Also, Barry Sanders' team was terrible in the regular season and terrible when they made the playoffs. The few times they did make it.
That's why I think the
last playoff win they got is because of Barry Sanders in the league in the history of the franchise.
I'm not knocking Sanders. Sanders is top 3. But I'm just saying, if I'm saying who's the greatest, it's
Barry Sanders can never say Barry. I don't think Sanders ever rushed for under 1,300 yards in his career. And when you just sit here and look at it, like Barry Sanders was amazing. It wasn't a damn thing, and he had to carry a larger load than Walter Payton had to carry. Walter Payton had.
I don't think so.
Walter Payton had, at the peak of the Chicago Bears, Walter Payton had a hellacious defense. Barry Sanders never had.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
Never had
that.
That's
fair.
That's what I'm saying.
That's
so
fair.
I got Barry Sanders at 1. I got Walter at 2.
Barry Sanders also, the problem with Barry Sanders was he also couldn't hit an open hole. He wanted to bounce around too much, and that's what gave him negative yards in the playoffs. And he wasn't a good receiver, and he wasn't a good blocker.
It probably be because
top 3, and he's still top 3.
He wasn't a terrible receiver though. He wasn't a terrible receiver.
Great. He's not a
downfield guy. I mean, no, of course not. But he can catch some screens and take some shit back now. Don't disrespect Barry like he couldn't hit no holes either. He had a little Reggie Bush in him, but that's all right though. You know what I'm saying?
He was definitely in it. We talking about Peyton for 13 years. He only missed 1 game.
Yeah, I got Sanders. That's what I'm saying. I got Sanders. I got Peyton at 2, and I got.
Don't forget
at 3.
One other thing you can't say: who's the best quarterback in Bears history? It's Sid Luckman and then Walter Payton.
He was better than Jimmy.
This goes disrespect. Disrespect my man in his dark pair shades.
Oh man.
Fluent has those hot takes. 1 or 2 more questions and we out of here. If Justin Jefferson gets another 1,200-yard season, will he overtake Tay Adams as the best wide receiver in the league? I think he will. He's just a completed wide receiver, Tay Adams. No, I don't think he's on the level of Adams yet, but Justin Jefferson is on his way, definitely. I still think
he's the future.
I to be honest with you, it may be a hot take, but I said it when they was in college. I think Jamar Chase is better than Justin Jefferson. My opinion on that did not change. They both in the league now, and I still feel that way. You will see next season if you don't understand what I'm telling you right now. Let's see.
Just show people my Cutler jersey because they're asking me not to hate.
Top 3 teams in the league right now.
The chat has asked me to stop hating on Jay Cutler. I just want to show you my Jay Cutler jersey.
Who the top 5 teams in the NBA right now today? March the 18th, 2022. The top 5 teams in the NBA.
Top 5 NBA teams right now. I can't even put my Bulls in there. We like the 5th or 6th seed right now. We didn't fail bike. I can't even.
Phoenix
is
Miami,
definitely up there.
Milwaukee,
Brooklyn,
Golden State,
Memphis.
You got to give respect to.
I don't know if Memphis is better than Boston, but
Phoenix.
I'll get
Stop it. The number 2 seed.
I would take Memphis.
The number 2 seed with the best guard in the league. Come on.
I would take Memphis.
Oh, not the best guard in the league. Playing the best. Let's make sure we clear on that. It's not the same thing. Is he playing the best?
Okay.
He's absolutely playing the best.
Okay, with the guard he's playing the best.
That's not the best guard in the league. It's not the same thing, Tone.
He's gonna be. He's gonna be.
Yeah.
I'm high on Ja.
I do believe that. That I do believe. You can definitely show that.
Ja is going to surpass Giannis as my favorite player in the NBA like real soon.
Ja is definitely sensational. But we're going to get the hell on up out of here. Hey, Fluent, I had a great time on this show. Thank you for coming on this show. I hope you enjoyed yourself.
Man. Anytime.
Appreciate you, man. Chill, you already know what it is. Yeah, but, all the loyals on YouTube, y'all already know what to do. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. If you can't catch this episode live, it will be on YouTube the following day. So tomorrow, what is that? Today, Friday. So Saturday, it'll be on YouTube. I'm OG the Beast. That's Uncle Chilltown. That's Fluent. Take us home.
Take it light, but take it.
We out.